Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to make always a video about human genetic variants and how different populations are. The basic message is that between 90 and 85% of human genetic variance is within populations, and the rest is between populations. Like that's roughly means something like that. The genetic variance between populations of, let's say, mm, like of most human populations is something like 6% or so, 6 to 8%. Like let's say between Asians and Europeans or something like that. And then the largest genetic difference is within Africa, so you would probably find within Africa something between 10 and 15% of genetic variance. Like older numbers suggested a bigger genetic variance, but more recent numbers suggest a smaller genetic difference. The reason why those numbers diverge a bit is because older studies were based on proteins. So back then, that this I think in the 1970s, you couldn't really look at the genetic difference between humans, so you needed to look at proteins. So the difference between human populations was measured on the protein level. So I don't know. I like to illustrate it a bit because those are just numbers, right? And it's kind of difficult to really say like what they would mean. Mm, like let's say you live in China or I don't know in India and or in Europe. I myself, for example, have Kurdish heritage and some random other Kurd I would meet if I don't know in Turkey or in Iraq would have probably a genetic difference to me. Like uh, if the most genetic difference between humans would be 100%, and the least would be zero with uh, um, with siblings, like twin siblings of uh, who are genetically identical, ident- like identical twins, like that would be zero, obviously. Then I and a random Kurd would have something around 40% genetic variance. Um, it might be a little bit lower than that, like 30% would probably be more likely because I don't know, there might be recent trends and some kind of, like, I don't know, some kind of genes might just be like uh, existing within a population, but it would be kind of a little bit out there. So, like a good estimate would be probably 30%. And then I and like my parents, I would have a genetic difference to my parents of 15%. And uh, yeah, like some, like I would have, like the sun people tend to be uh, the humans on planet Earth that are genetically most distinct to the rest of uh, our species. They might have like a genetic difference of 15%. So me and the random sun people would have a genetic difference of 50% within human populations. but also me and a random cat would have 30%, so it's not that big. Mm, yeah, so humans are, in that particular sense, extremely similar. And I can also tell you something about the history of mm, how people studied that. And like, first there was this discussion in the 1960s, 70s whether human races exist. And uh, like, there were people who denied that, who said that's not the case. And one of that people started studying that, and he used proteins to determine how similar or different populations are. And later on, of course, in the 2000s, when genetic studies became more viable and cheaper to perform, and with the advent of the Human Genome Project, we started to sequence genomes. Like, the thing is, you can not just from looks kind of determine where someone is from. I probably look a little bit like Middle Eastern, and yeah, like, the thing being that you can find also out by looking at the human's genome where he is from. Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want more information about it, I can actually give you the sources I kind of looked into. I must admit I didn't look very deep into that, but um, it's mostly um, Ros- Rosenberg et al. 2002, Genetic Structure of Human Populations, and the original study dates back uh, of Babu, oh sorry, Levontine's work in the 1970s. Wait, if I may find the original paper name. Wait, did I pass it? Ah, yeah. No, no, it's not that. Ah, there I find it. The apportionment of human diversity, it's called, and uh, it was written by Richard Levantine, I guess, in 1972. Yeah, but his findings were largely replicated. So yeah, basically the finding was like 85% of genetic variability is within populations and 15% is in between populations. That's like the very rough view of the topic.